Hope you found this video useful. The best way to support the channel and ensure you don't miss our next upload is to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Part 40.6 Surah Ghafir, the Forgiver, the Secret Believer, and the Tyrant's Delusion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah huwa barakatuh. We step deeper into the dramatic and spiritually charged narrative of the Hammad series. Welcome back to the Sufi Essence Masterclass with Hammad Syed as we witness the terrifying escalation of the conflict between the absolute truth of Allah and the fragile ego of man. In our previous session, we walked through the physical ruins of past empires and analyzed the mission of Musa Alaihis Salam as he confronted the triad of arrogance. We saw that even the greatest material effects in the land, verse 21, cannot act as a shield against the divine seizure. Today, the tension reaches a breaking point within the royal court of Egypt. In verses 26 through 30, we encounter the murderous resolve of Pharaoh, the unshakable refuge of Musa Alaihis Salam, and the sudden courageous emergence of a secret believer from the very heart of the royal inner circle. This is a profound masterclass in spiritual diplomacy, the psychology of power, and the weight of a single voice of truth in a room full of tyrants. We are excavating the moment where faith moves from the concealed breast to the public tongue. Verse 26. Pharaoh's final solution and the projection of corruption, Kanzela man. Quran, Surah Ghafir, the Forgiver. Chapter 40, verse 26. And Pharaoh said, "Let me kill Musa, peace be upon him, and let him call upon his Lord. Indeed, I fear that he will change your religion, or that he will cause corruption in the land." Pharaoh, the historical archetype of the political ego, finally reaches the limits of his psychological patience. He realizes that disputing the signs, verse 4, is no longer working, so he moves toward elimination. He asks for permission from his council Daruni Akatul Musa. Let me kill Musa, a classic manipulative move intended to distribute the moral guilt among his bureaucrats. He challenges the divine relationship with a mocking arrogance and let him call upon his Lord. It is the ultimate dare from a creature to the Creator, a manifestation of the treachery of the eyes, verse 19, where he sees Musa Alaihis Salam as a mere man rather than a messenger of the Wahid. But as seekers of the Sufi essence, we must look at the psychological projection. The tyrant claims he is killing the prophet to prevent al-Fasad corruption in the land and to save the people's dino, calm your religion. This is a timeless strategy of tyranny, masking violence as security and tradition. Pharaoh, who is the greatest source of corruption and spiritual decay in history, paints himself as the guardian of the public good. He fears the change Musa Alaihis Salam brings because the truth is inherently disruptive to a system built on lies. He knows that if the people realize their sovereignty belongs to Allah, verse 16, his own hollow mulk will evaporate. He is projecting his own internal chaos onto the messenger of peace. Verse 27. The refuge of certainty and the shield of the Lord Kanzela man. Quran, Surah Ghafir, the Forgiver. Chapter 40, verse 27. And Musa said, "Indeed, I have sought refuge in my Lord and your Lord from every arrogant one who does not believe in the day of account." Faced with an explicit death threat from the world's most powerful man, Musa Alaihis Salam does not resort to human logistics. He does not mobilize an army, and he does not flee in a state of panic. He responds with the ultimate spiritual weapon of the Muklis. Inni uditu by Rabbi Waravakum. Indeed, I have sought refuge in my Lord and your Lord. This is the state of Itisam, holding fast to the only cable that does not break. Musa Alaihis Salam surgically defines the root of Pharaoh's pathology. He is a mutakaber arrogant one, who does not believe in the day of account la uminu bidash. Yamil dashiza, amil dashiza. In our previous session, we analyzed the day of the approaching, verse 18. Here, Musa Alaihis Salam confirms that all earthly tyranny stems from a lack of certainty in that final meeting. By including the phrase, "Your Lord Musa Alaihis Salam," performs a radical act of equality. He reminds the courtiers that Pharaoh is not their owner, nor is he his own master. They all share the same creator. The refuge of Musa Alaihis Salam is an internal, crystalline fortress of certainty that no physical sword or state decree can ever penetrate. It is a refuge from the person of the arrogant, but more importantly, from the influence of their arrogance. Verse 28. The emergence of the secret believer Kanzelaman. Quran, Surah Ghafir, the Forgiver. Chapter 40, verse 28. And a believing man from the family of Pharaoh who concealed his faith said, Do you kill a man merely because he says, My Lord is Allah, while he has brought you clear proofs from your Lord? And if he should be a liar, then upon him is his lie. But if he should be truthful, there will strike you some of what he promises you. Indeed, Allah does not guide one who is a transgressor and a liar. Suddenly, an unexpected voice rises from the shadows of Pharaoh's own inner circle. A man who had yaktumu amanahu, concealed his faith, can no longer remain a silent observer while injustice is legalized. This is a pivotal moment in the orchards of the Hammam. He does not lead with a sermon. He leads with impeccable, inescapable logic. He engages in a form of spiritual Pascal's wager. He asks the council, Do you kill a man for his internal belief? He then presents a logical binary. If Musa Alaihis Salam is a liar, his lie will be his own undoing. But if he is truthful, the word of punishment, verse 6, will strike the kingdom while you are unprepared. He positions Allah as the ultimate quality control filter of the universe. Inna Allah la yadi man huwa, masrafin, kadiyash dhab. Indeed, Allah does not guide a transgressor and a liar. This was a subtle, dangerous jab at Pharaoh himself, using universal moral principles to shield the messenger from the tyrant's wrath. He is essentially saying that if Musa Alaihis Salam was a liar, Allah wouldn't have given him such clear proofs. Verse 29. The fragility of the earthly kingdom. Kanzel Iman. Surah Ghafir, the Forgiver. Chapter 40, verse 29. O my people, sovereignty is yours today, you being dominant in the land. But who would protect us from the punishment of Allah if it came to us? Pharaoh said, I do not show you except what I see, and I do not guide you except to the way of right conduct. The believing man appeals to the council's sense of self-preservation and their attachment to their status. He acknowledges their mulk's sovereignty in the land today, emphasizing its temporary nature. He asks the existential question that every elite should fear. Man yan saruna, min bas alehi, who will help protect us against the punishment of Allah? He reminds them that movement in the land, verse 4, is a fleeting shadow. Pharaoh interrupts with the ultimate statement of narcissistic authority. Ma yurikum illa ma ara, I do not show you except what I see. This is the definition of total ideological control, a claim that his limited, ego-driven perspective is the only reality. He audaciously claims that he is guiding them to Sabi al-Rashad, the path of right conduct. In the Sufi path, this is the pharaonic ego within every human, the internal voice that refuses to look beyond its own desires and insists that its path is the only way to success, even as it walks toward the cliff of destruction. He has replaced the signs of Allah with the vision of Pharaoh. Verse 30. The warning of the day of companies Kanzel, Iman. Quran Surah Ghafir, the Forgiver. Chapter 40, verse 30. And he who believed said, My people, indeed I fear for you a fate like the day of the companies, the believing man. Undeterred by Pharaoh's interruption, he continues his brave discourse by connecting the present crisis to the historical ruins we discussed in verse 21. He warns them of Yawm al-Azab, the day of the company's factions. He is invoking the collective memory of the destruction of the nations of Nuh Alaihis Salam Ad and Thamud. He is essentially telling the Egyptian elite, You think your civilization is unique and eternal? But you are just the next company in a long line of failed states that rejected their divine mandate. This verse anchors the archaeological warning into a direct confrontational message. He uses the fear of history to try and awaken the concealed breasts, verse 19, of his peers. He's trying to show them that Pharaoh's path of right conduct is merely a repeat of the ancient path of ruin that swallowed the companies of the past. Extending the philosophical excavation, the architecture of truth, and the narcissism of the ego to reach the full master-level depth for this segment of the masterclass, we must analyze the projection of corruption and the strategic silence presented in these verses. We are examining the collision between the false guide Pharaoh and the true refuge Musa Alaihis Salam. This section is a study of how truth survives in environments designed to suffocate it. In verse 26, Pharaoh's desire to kill Musa Alaihis Salam is the reaction of an ego that has run out of intellectual arguments. When the clear proofs, verse 22, become undeniable to the common people, the only way the tyrant can maintain the illusion of his own sovereignty, verse 16, is through the physical elimination of the witness of truth. Pharaoh's claim that Musa Alaihis Salam will change your religion is a classic tactic used throughout human history, using the language of sacred tradition to protect secular power structures. He labels the pure religion, verse 14 of Musa Alaihis Salam, as facade corruption. This is a profound lesson for the modern seeker. Just because a system claims to be preventing chaos doesn't mean it isn't the primary source of it. We must look past the labels and see the signs. Pharaoh's fear is real, but it is a fear born of guilt. He knows that Musa Alaihis Salam's call to the Lord of the Worlds is an invitation to a freedom that Pharaoh cannot grant and cannot control. By calling Musa Alaihis Salam a corrupter, he is attempting to poison the well of public opinion. Verse 27 provides the blueprint for spiritual resistance: seeking refuge. Musa Alaihis Salam does not seek refuge in a different political party or a physical bunker. He seeks refuge in my Lord and your Lord. This is a metaphysical leveling of the playing field. By declaring Allah as the Lord of the Tyrant, Musa Alaihis Salam strips Pharaoh of his false divinity. The Day of Account is the psychological anchor of this verse. If a person does not believe they will be held accountable, there is no limit to their cruelty. The Sufi excavation reveals that our fear of people is inversely proportional to our certainty in the Day of Account. If you truly see the approaching verse 18, then even the most powerful tyrant looks like a frantic ant in the eyes of the Almighty. Musa Alaihis Salam is teaching us that the only way to be brave in the face of a mutakabur, arrogant one, is to recognize a power that is infinitely greater. This refuge is not an escape from reality. It is a deeper immersion into the true reality. Verse 28 introduces the Mu'min al-Fir'aun, the believer from Pharaoh's family. His existence is proof that Allah places His light in the most unexpected and hostile environments. Even in the very heart of the citadel of disbelief, there was a secret believer. His strategy is one of intellectual compassion. He does not start by attacking the crown. He starts by asking a question of fundamental justice. Do you kill a man merely because he says, "My Lord is Allah"? This is the voice of the awakened conscience. He uses the logic of liability. If Musa Alaihis Salam is a liar, the problem is self-correcting. But if he is truthful, the kingdom is in mortal danger. This is a masterclass in how to speak truth to power without being immediately discarded. He appeals to their intellect and their self-interest before appealing to their faith. This man had concealed his faith, suggesting that there is a time for silence and a time for speech. The Hammad teaches us that the heart must be prepared in the shadows before it can testify in the light. Verse 29 captures the essence of what we might call the satanic guidance. Pharaoh's statement, "I do not show you except what I see," is the definition of domed darkness. It is a world where only one ego is allowed to have a perspective. Pharaoh's path of right conduct is a hall of mirrors that leads to the fire. The believing man, however, points back to the punishment of Allah. He forces the council to look at the vertical dimension of existence. You have mulk sovereignty today, but who is the owner of the mulk? Verse 16 tomorrow. This contrast between Pharaoh's vision and divine reality is the core struggle of every human soul. We must decide if we will see through our own limited, treacherous eyes or through the clear authority provided by the Hammad. Pharaoh's claim of Rashad right conduct is the ultimate gaslighting. He is leading his people into the sea while telling them it is a bridge. Verse 30 begins what we call the historical argument. The believing man knows that the elite pride themselves on their longevity and historical standing. By bringing up the day of the companies, he reminds them of their inherent vulnerability. In the Sufi path, we use the days of Allah, the history of His dealings with mankind, to humble our own movement in the land. If the great nations of the past nations, far superior in strength, were seized for their dispute, verse 4, what makes the Egyptian court think they are immune to the same laws of spiritual gravity? The day of the companies is a warning that collective arrogance leads to collective ruin. The believing man is trying to break their herd mentality by showing them the graveyard of previous herds. This section of Surah Ghafir is about the power of the individual voice. One prophet, Musa Alaihis Salam, and one secret believer challenged the entire weight of an empire. The clear authority of the truth is so potent that Pharaoh has to resort to murder to stop its spread. The believing man is a role model for every person who finds themselves trapped in a system of facade. He shows that you don't need to be the prophet yourself to save the mission of truth. You just need to speak with sincerity, verse 14, and wisdom. He demonstrates that faith, even when concealed, is a force of nature that will eventually demand to be heard. His intervention is a divine interruption in the tyrant's monologue. Reflect on the Pharaoh within your own heart. Is there a part of your ego that says, I do not show you except what I see? Is there a part of you that wants to kill? The voice of your own conscience, the internal Musa Alaihis Salam, because it threatens your worldly comfort or your social standing? The refuge of Musa Alaihis Salam is available to you right now. Seek refuge in the Lord of the Day of Account from your own internal arrogance. The struggle between Musa Alaihis Salam and Pharaoh is not just a historical event. It is a psychological map of the soul's battle for liberation. As we move toward the next verses, we will see the believing man's discourse become even more intense and urgent. He is a bridge between the clear signs of Allah and the concealed breasts of the elite. He is the spirit cast upon a servant to warn of the day of meeting. His courage is a testimony to the fact that when you truly believe in the day of account, the threats of 1,000 pharaohs become nothing more than Dalel error. He reminds us that the provision from the sky, verse 13, is not just physical rain, but the rain of guidance that can penetrate even the hard soil of a palace. The sovereignty mulk you hold today, whether it is over a kingdom, a business, or just your own household, is a test. How you use your dominance in the land, verse 29, determines whether you will have a Wakan protector when the day of the approaching finally arrives. Do not let the path of right conduct, as defined by a corrupt world, lead you into the dust of the ruins. Follow the path defined by the Forgiver, the Exalter of ranks, and the Owner of the throne. The mission of the believing man is to remind us all that we are accountable to a king who is higher than any pharaoh. This narrative is also an excavation of the treachery of the eyes, verse 19. While Pharaoh's eyes were blinded by his own vision, the believing man's eyes were fixed on the day of account. This difference in vision changed everything. One saw a threat to be killed, the other saw a truth to be followed. The sovereignty of Pharaoh was a theater, while the sovereignty of Allah was the stage. Let us be of those who see the stage, not just the actors. Let our movement in the land be guided by the clear proofs that survive the day of the companies. The believing man's fear for his people is the highest form of compassion of fear that stems from seeing the approaching punishment that they are currently blind to. Ultimately, these 5 verses teach us that truth is never truly alone. Musa Alaihis Salam had his Lord and a secret ally. Pharaoh had a counsel, but no protector Wakan. In the spiritual physics of the universe, clear authority will always outweigh the superior strength of the companies. We must align ourselves with the authority, even if it means standing as a secret believer in a palace of lies. The end of the companies is certain, but the rank of the believers is exalted, verse 15. Choose your path of right conduct wisely, not by what Pharaoh shows you, but by what Allah has sent down to you. Hadith, the messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, the best jihad is a word of truth spoken to a tyrannical ruler. Abu Dawud. This hadith is the perfect reflection of the believing man in verse 28, his intervention. It's a supreme act of jihad, not of the sword, but of the word of truth spoken in the most dangerous court on earth to save a prophet and a people from the word of punishment. It reminds us that bravery is not always found on the battlefield, but often in the halls of power. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. O Allah, the Malik al-Mulk, owner of sovereignty, and the owner of the day of account, we seek your refuge as Musa Alaihis Salam sought refuge from every arrogant one who denies the meeting with you. O Al-Haq, grant us the courage of the believing man from Pharaoh's family. Give us a tongue of truth and a heart of wisdom to stand for the clear proofs in the face of tyranny and social pressure. Cleanse our hearts of the pharaonic ego that says, I only show you what I see. Let us not be among the transgressors and liars who are deprived of your guidance. O Asami, hear our silent prayers in the concealed faith of our hearts and make our movement in the land a path of Rashad, right conduct that leads to your pleasure. Protect us from the day of the companies and the fate of those who were seized for their sins because they rejected your messengers. Let us find our true mulk in our total submission to you alone, and let our word of truth be our Wakan protector on the day we meet you. O owner of the throne, let our vision be clear enough to see your signs even in the halls of Pharaoh. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ill. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth. May your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Ameen.